Welcome to the Reddit realm. Today we're looking at the dumbest school rules ever enforced. Some of these make no sense at all. Let's get into it. Story 1. In grade 8, we were banned from standing in circles at recess because of potential scandalous activity going on in the middle. We stood in squares instead. Story 2. We couldn't wear winter clothing, jackets, hats, gloves in class because they were gang symbols. This was a small farm town in Wisconsin. Besides obviously having no gangs, it was fucking cold, even indoors in the winter. But clearly wearing warm clothing is something only gangs do. Story 3. I'm a cheerleader, and for school spirit week, I wore the uniform they gave me. I got dress coded. Story 4. They banned wristwatches. No one knows what the reason was. Story 5. Our school banned hugging because it was erotic. As you can imagine, the boys at school started giving each other very sensual high fives for the rest of the year. Story 6. Can't wear too many matching shirts because you could be a gang. This was in regards to a kid with cancer wanting to make a bunch of shirts. Story 7. In my freshman year of high school, we had a terrible vandalism problem. The bathrooms would be broken in various ways almost constantly. In a stroke of pure genius, the staff decided that any bathroom that was vandalized would be closed for the week on first offense, the quarter for second, and permanently on the third offense. They took back the rule after closing every bathroom on day 1. Story 8. Prom was a mandatory lockdown for the night in order to avoid students going to parties after prom. Prom was held at various house parties across town instead. Shoes are to be worn as the manufacturer intended. I have no clue who was wearing their shoes incorrectly, or how, but this line, verbatim, was repeated to us over the morning announcements when there were perceived infractions at various points throughout the year. Story 9. They decided everything bad happened in the last 5 minutes of lunch, so it got 5 minutes shorter each year. Any group more than 5 had to be up to no good, so no groups over 5. Story 10. If you were involved in a fight, you got suspended. While it sounds reasonable, context didn't matter. I got suspended once not for throwing a single punch, kick, whatever. I got suspended because someone knocked the books out of my hand, and when I reached down to grab them, they punched me in the face. I got suspended for walking down the hallway and unprovoked getting punched in the face. Fuck Brandon Valley Middle School. Story 11. My buddy got suspended for something similar. His Marine Corps MP mother told him in no uncertain terms that if anyone tried that shit again, earn that suspension. Fucking surprise, surprise. The dude tried that again, and he went ham on that kid. Busted nose, torn ear, black and blue for weeks. The fallout was exactly the same as not fighting back at all, except my buddy got a pat on the back from his mom and a new video game. Tell you what, no one tried that with him again. If it wasn't zero tolerance, then it wouldn't be a problem. Someone gives you some physical trouble and they get punished. Easy peasy. They've got cameras everywhere. Surely it would be pretty easy to see. Story 12. You couldn't wear any kind of head items that were gang colors, red or blue. This included hairbands, scrunchies, beads in your hair, ribbons, anything. I got in trouble for wearing a blue hairband with white polka dots. Story 13. My high school mascot was Daniel Boone holding a musket. A kid wore a Guns N' Roses shirt to school and was told he had to change shirts because of the pistols on the shirt. He pointed out the hypocrisy of the school mascot, and they changed everything. The mascot was switched to holding a flagpole instead. Every instance of the mascot was changed from the multiple signs outside and around the school to the giant picture in the middle of our basketball stadium. Holden, you're a fucking legend for this. Story 14. Suspension as a punishment for skipping school. Don't want to come to school? Well, now you can't, until next week. Story 15. They banned hats because hats can be used to signify gang colors. The only major crime group in our area was the Hells Angels, and they certainly weren't having people wear hats for children to signify their allegiance. It was so bad a few years after I graduated, I came back to volunteer as a chaperone for a school trip as a favor for my favorite teacher. The principal saw me wearing a beanie from across school. He literally sprinted half a mile to chase me down and tell me to take off the hat. When I told him I wasn't a student and didn't have follow the dress code, he said either take off the hat, leave, or he'd call the cops. It wasn't the actual day of the trip, just had to show up to get the itinerary and stuff, so I just said, fuck you, I'm out. Idiots. Story 16. I love telling this one. We had percentage grades, and if you earned 100% in a class for the semester, you would be dinged down to 99%, because only God is perfect. As far as I know, this was not an official rule, and I only know of it happening one time to the girl who eventually became our valedictorian. But that was the reasoning she was given. It was a Catholic girls' high school, and there were a lot of other weird, strictly enforced rules, especially around the uniform. But the only God is perfect rule will always take the cake for me. Story 17. You got in trouble if you wore just a Hanes white t-shirt after school because you were in your underwear. Story 18. My high school banned t-shirts that had the cover of Rush's album Signals, an album popular at the time, which features an image of a dog sniffing a fire hydrant. They considered it scatological because the dog was about to pee on it. This struck the entire student body as extremely stupid, and roughly one half of the student body picked a day to wear the t-shirt. We won. Story 19. We weren't allowed to have cough drops in our elementary because the school considered them drugs. Story 20. No fist bumps. Their reason for this is that kids might accidentally punch the other person in the face. Edit. The school I went to was in a pretty rough area, so there were a lot of incidents where kids ended up getting into fights. Story 21. Took all the doors off the men's room bathroom stalls because of vandalism for 2 months. Story 22. We were all given these ugly planners at the beginning of the school year, with a few pages at the back filled with hall passes. If you didn't have your planner, or if all your boxes were filled, you weren't allowed to go to the bathroom. And no, you couldn't buy a new planner, or borrow one from your friend. The only excuse you had was if you had a doctor's note, but no doctor is going to give a note for an upset stomach caused by the school lunch. Story 23. No jackets. They think we may hide things like phones or bombs there. Story 24. We had to wear belts. Someone snitched that people weren't wearing belts under their sweaters, and they actually checked, and a bunch of people got detentions. Stupidity. Story 25. Attended all-girls high school. You had to bring a male date to dances or not attend at all. No going solo or with your girlfriends. So backwards. Story 26. All the kids started putting pink laces in their shoes. Don't know why, but the school officials banned colored laces, saying pink is a gang color. Story 27. Girls must wear skirts even in the cold back rain. Story 28. No fitted clothes for girls. This was high school. If the swell of your breasts or butt were visible due to tight fabric, you had to go home. This wasn't a religious school. This was just a school run by dumb pieces of shit. Story 29. My freshman dorm at a religious college had a list of rules that filled a legal-sized sheet of paper. It included being in your room for forced study time every night, keeping your towels straight on the towel rack, and making your bed by 9 a.m. every day, including weekends. So if you wanted to sleep in on Saturday morning, you were supposed to get up, make your bed, and then go back to sleep in top of the bed. Story 30. Involved in a fight, same punishment regardless of fault. And this led to more dangerous fights due to everyone just going for it. Saw people use chairs, cricket bats, and anything just to hand. Getting expelled from the school was really hard as it was the last chance school in the area, and after that, it was the special reform school. Story 31. My high school had half the bathrooms closed off at all times because they feared the students would smoke. Story 32. A girl and a boy couldn't sit together. The school employed disciplinarians to roam around the school and monitor this activity. If found, you will get a reprimand. If found repeating the offense, you get sent to the principal office, and if continuing, then eventually escalated to the parents, etc. Story 33. No more than 5 friends could hang out together during lunch. Our high school principal was trying to crack down on gangs, but I never saw a single teacher enforce the rule. Story 34. No backpacks in the halls. Oh yeah, because carrying all of our books between classes was a great fucking idea. Plus, hardly any time between classes to exchange books meant carrying multiple classes' things at once. Edit. Looks like this is the norm for quite a few people in school districts. Doesn't make the rule any less stupid. But to be fair, it depends on your school. My middle school was 8 or so classes a day with 3 minutes between classes in a large school where classes could be far away from your locker. My high school was 4 classes and a much smaller building, but my friend's high school was similar to my middle school situation. Story 35. No playing on the mini golf course. Due to the school having mineral rights on oil land in the mid-70s, our school system had huge amounts of money. One thing they did was get 9 concrete animals on the playground for miniature golf. These looked like a lot of fun to play on for kids, and they were concrete, so they were indestructible. They took up 1/3 of the absolute center of the playground. We could not touch them, play on them, or get anywhere near them. In PE, we broke out the putters once in all of grade school. A few years later, they had the high school seniors take them out with sledgehammers. Story 36. My school banned backpacks at one point. To protest, boys just didn't bring anything with them to class, and girl brought really big purses. Story 37. Zero tolerance to bullying. The faculty were the worst ones. Too many double standards. They had no problem enforcing it when a student was doing the bullying, but did absolutely nothing to punish the teachers when they did it. Story 38. School added thumbprint scanners at gates of school, which counted as registration. Needless to say, I would just walk to school, scan my thumb, and walk back home with them none the wiser. It was a great few months until they noticed. Story 39. We weren't allowed to wear plain red, blue, yellow, or white tees because of the white tee song, and thought there was t-shirt gangs. A second one was named after my crew. We weren't allowed to have any comic or anime artwork during school hours, and students couldn't exchange money with each other unless the teacher approved. Story 40. Conservative Christian College. A group of us played Age of Empires one weekend. They didn't like it and called a meeting. Everyone involved got misdemeanors on their records. There was nothing in the handbook about it being against the rules. The only person that didn't get any punishment was the son of the president, even though he was just as involved as the rest of us. It was quite interesting explaining the write-up on my record when I transferred. You got a misdemeanor for what? And that's a wrap. Have you ever dealt with a ridiculous school rule? Drop it in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell for more crazy Reddit stories. Thanks for watching the Reddit Realm. See you next time.